Hello there, I'm your not certified teacher, Luis Cisneros.
Hello.
Today we're going to be going over the sparks of the Revolutionary War. Now, here's the thing, do you know what started the American Revolution? Everything behind it.
I know, but I do not recall. It's been a long time, so.
Well, that's alright. That's what this is all about, a refresher course so that we can learn. So, let's go ahead and start from the beginning. And it all started with taxes. Big surprise there. People are complaining about taxes to this day.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Every single purchase, every single day.
Yeah, exactly. The first of these taxes to be put against the colonists, it was the Sugar Act. This went ahead and placed a tax on anything, like just plain old sugar to anything that contained sugar. So it could be candy, it could be sweetbread, all that type of stuff. And the next one after that was a tax called the Stamp Act. Now, this went ahead and placed a tax on anything that was printed paper, so it could range from playing cards to even newspapers. And
like stamping, like printing.
Exactly,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And I guess stamps too, if you had to do your mail.
Okay.
And if this picture had displayed correctly, you would see this man staring at a brick wall where this new sheet, this declaration from Britain, yes, it went ahead and displayed the terms of the Townsend Act. Now this tax act
Townsend?
The Townsend, yeah.
I know, I've seen it. Okay.
Now this act, it was a real big one. This one went ahead and placed a tax on anything that was imported into the colonies. So anything in those big ships that come into those harbors. So that wasn't nice.
Okay.
But one of the biggest ones was the Tea Act. Now the British, they love their tea. Everybody in the colonies loved their tea too. So when such a common commodity was being taxed at a bad rate, nobody was happy about that either. But one thing to also keep in mind, while people don't love to pay extra for stuff, another thing that really pissed the colonists off was that, they went ahead and placed these taxes, but what was their say in it? It was as if they were not, citizens of the crown after all, taxation without representation. Like, who did they have in the colonies to speak on their behalf about these policies that were being placed upon them, these taxes? So it's as if their voices weren't being heard and their opinion was not being respected. Okay. So, and one more thing, before I continue on, one thing I forgot was the Quartering Act. Now this Quartering Act, this was another thing that made tempers flare. It was enacted in 1765, and basic premise was you had to let soldiers take over your pad because it was signed into law. They'd just come to your door, and some of them wouldn't even be respectful. They'd just say, "Hey, let us stay here." And if you didn't comply, well, you were going to face the penalty of the law. So, yeah.
So take over as they were out there performing their soldier duties.
Yes, whatever those may have been.
Okay.
The people of the house, they had to service them as if they were just regular old family members, wash their clothes, and yeah, it was just a big hassle, and imagine if strangers just went up to your door. I'm sure there were service members, but nobody's exactly too keen to take in an entire squadron of soldiers and tend to them. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So all of this, it was just really boiling things up. And finally, we get to the Boston Massacre in 1770, which is what I like to call the tipping point. Okay. And the title is pretty self-explanatory as to why this would be the tipping point, a massacre. It was a riot that started in which 50 citizens gathered to protest the large presence of British soldiers in Boston. And the only reason this was a thing was because, this large presence was because the colonists were acting very rebellious. And because of that, they had the crown worried. So
as a result of the Sugar Act,
they just weren't complying. Yeah, they weren't complying. And so the king said, okay, let's go ahead and send more of these guys to keep them under control.
More soldiers.
Yes, more soldiers, or the redcoats, or the lobsters as they called them, Okay. And so, they were harassed and abused, the colonists. It was a snowy day. They started throwing snowballs at them. They threw rocks, they threw sticks. Eventually, I'm pretty sure one of these things hit one of the soldiers in the face. So he fired one into the crowd, and the other soldiers followed as dictated in the circumstances. and 5 people ended up dying as a result. 5 people who were just regular civilians in the crowd trying to protest somewhat
Against
peacefully.
Okay.
Yes, and you know, that would head and led to the revolution.
This led up all of these events.
Yeah, which just said, you know what, we have enough, and it sparked the flames of revolution.
I got caught up in things, and I don't know that I read. Was there a year to the taxes?
A year to the taxes.
No,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, but apparently my pay grade does not, you know, dictate that I put the years or too much research, you know.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that I had, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's test your knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, now, you're going to go ahead and give me your outline of what you've remembered about these events leading up to this revolution.
Okay, so what I gathered was that the initiation to it all was the taxes that were imposed by the British onto the colonies, right?
And give me some example of these taxes.
The Sugar Act, the Stamp Act, I recall the newspaper and the cards, and the Tea Act.
And the Tea Act.
Uh-huh.
Yes, okay.
Leading up to the issue being the taxation without representation, like you said, and like you showed on there at the end of the day, they were not British citizens, so they had no say-so.
Yeah, they were not being treated as British citizens.
As British, but they were being demanded that they pay their taxes as if they were.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so then moving on to the Quartering Act. That was initiated in 1765. Then from there, obviously, came the rebellion of colonists not being wanting to be in compliance with this act. They thought it was absurd to just take on any soldiers at any given time and take care of them in any way, shape, or manner, and just lawfully they needed to allow them to take over and or stay at their pad, right?
Yes.
And that became obviously an issue. Moving on to the issue of the Boston Massacre in 1770.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that it was a tipping point. It was supposed to be a peaceful protest, but on a snowy day, things led up to, I suppose, things were, like you said, it was a tipping point, and the snowballs and the fighting and all of this led up to one soldier, I suppose, firing a gun, and we ended up with 5 civilians dead at the end of that one particular event.
Which then led up to the revolution.
Which led up to the beginning of the revolution, right?
Yep, and after all that conflict, America won its independence, and we had George Washington eventually being put into the dollar bill.
Okay, all right. So yeah, this is a prior to.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. We got the build up. It was nice.
The only thing I remember from my old age is the taxation without representation. From that point on is what led up to. But yeah obviously all these other acts are the reason. Okay.
Well, it was a nice lesson with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was a nice refresher.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm 45. I don't remember any of these things. It's been a long time since I went to school. So.
Well, it's always nice to have a nice little concise refresher to go over the main points. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.